May I have your attention? May I have your attention? May I have your attention?
Let's start. How did you get started in burlesque?
Wow, we gotta go way back. There's a long history. My background is in painting and drawing.
Okay.
Which is a big benefit for the makeup, you know.
What type of things were you painting? What was your interest?
So I kitchen disasters. So which was a nice dive into the horror, I guess. I mean,
Like, define a kitchen disaster.
all right, well, I'm a terrible cook. You know,
Okay.
I have no patience for it. So the flour and the butter and the churning around, you know, and the mess created and the spectacle, I started to make these drawings that were like War of the Worlds. It was a way of approaching my fear and my insecurities about cooking and domestic expectations.
Yeah.
It seems so funny to worry about domestic expectations when you're in your 20s, but whatever. That's where I was at. I started experimenting with video a little bit after the drawing, and then that eventually, you know, I honed a few skills to start making my own little movies, and the makeup and learning to do special effects and things like that were an interest, you know.
Yeah.
I was in school at the time with a bunch of other people around me and all these great resources. I thought, well, you know, I don't have to have a script necessarily. Let's get some people together and improv. When I was approaching my friends, you know, hey, I'm making this horror movie, you want to be in it? Like, everybody's like, oh, can I be the person that dies? That would be so great. Can I die in the movie? Like, that idea started to trigger something a little interesting. So my friend Tina McClelland, who was a starlet in the movie, her art was about making businesses that were kind of unnecessary. Like, I'm going to come into your home and I'm going to put your furniture on the ceiling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And you're going to pay me for it. So her art was creating these ridiculous, useless businesses, and my art was making horror movies. So we joined forces to create this project called Death by Design, and the inspiration behind Death by Design was, you know, when you're making a horror movie, everybody wants to be the person that dies. Like, what is it about that? Well, it's what everybody talks about. It's what everybody remembers. So we thought, let's make a business where we just give people their horror movie death, you know, like Hollywood style, so they can be the center of attention, they can be the spectacle. So we wrote a grant and got approved for this project and set up a film set in a gallery, right? Yeah. And then it had a front office, you know, like you're going to a spa.
Yeah.
An appointment. There's a menu where you got like 3 or 4 different death scenarios that can be combined. You know, you got your settings. It's like a interior or an exterior. And then there's like 3 or 4 different monster choices. So since I was dabbling with video a little bit, occasionally people would hire me to tape their shows, you know. So a friend of mine, the Coffin Banger, he's a local DJ who was putting on a Halloween spectacle, had hired me to record some performers.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever saw a burlesque or sideshow. So I had never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, one of the struggles with movies is you depend on so many people to make your project happen. It's quite exhausting.
Yeah.
So the idea of burlesque being very individual, being very immediate, being very manageable, you know, to do more often. I thought, all right, here's something I could get into, but how can I do it differently? How do I build a name for myself, not being a dancer at all?
What style of burlesque was it?
Oh, it was gory. It was gory stuff. It was a Halloween show, so that was great to see off the bat.
Yeah.
So there were girls ripping their skin off and like stabbing each other with needles and voodoo dolls and all kinds of, you know, pretty straightforward, scary stuff. Oh, great! People are coming out in coffins. But the thing that I noticed is everybody was still very concerned with keeping their face pretty. So immediately I was like, there's the area where I can do something a little different.
So have you been performing with the makeup, like with the mask, from the get-go?
The very first time I went on stage was with the skeleton face.
Yeah.
Part of the reason was it's an instant courage, like
Yeah.
it's not really you on stage when you obliterate all of yourself. I feel that you can retreat into the character more. So it was a safety net.
Yeah.
A bit. I mean, it was a conceptual thing for sure, but definitely also a safety net. So as I was trying to build a name for myself and build shows, there were definitely people that wanted me to perform, but would ask for me to do it without the skeleton face. So, but I kind of like the idea that people were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
My other struggle, the first year performing too, is I was pregnant. So, so my body was changing in so many ways.
Yeah.
Now I was very fortunate that at the time I started performing, Viva La Muerte was producing shows, and it was always heavy metal focused shows. So the skeleton face fit right in.
Yeah.
She was producing a show that was a tribute to Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever auditioned.
Yeah.
For something. It was fiercely intimidating because I didn't know anyone in the scene, and here I come in with this. My Sinstress was the one that gave me my very first shot at a show.
Yeah.
So I give her a lot of credit too for just, why not? Sure.
Yeah. So horror burlesque.
Yeah.
What
Is there even a word? There's
how
do you find the words that define these trends or genres or?
I mean, do you even have to put horror in front of burlesque, or is it just burlesque?
I almost don't even like the word burlesque.
Yeah.
Which is why I started using performance art, because I think burlesque carries a certain expectation, and I don't always strip. For me, I love the idea of transformation. I didn't even see it as a burlesque striptease. It was an opportunity for transformation.
You've talked in other interviews about the ideas of attraction and repulsion.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Like what about those two elements are important to you?
So thinking back to that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book, the illustrations with the little cracks and crevices and stringy hair and bugs crawling out, and the wet, drippy. It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Just the quality of line that represented the decay. And there's the tradition of painting memento mori and vanitas. It is a reminder. It's twisting beauty and making it a reminder of death, a reminder that that beauty and youth and all those things are fleeting. And I saw beauty and youth and sensuality being so central to burlesque. I thought, well, what if I pervert that? I like to mess with people a little bit. I think there's something very rewarding in just showing people something they didn't expect.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that too, in terms of okay, we're rolling up on October now, so of course everybody's down with ghosts and goblins and ghouls and everything. Yeah. But what happens when you perform in a July lineup, and there is a lot of traditional performance happening in a lineup, and then you roll out there? What do you feel the audience takeaway is? What do you want the audience takeaway to be?
Now I always found those Halloween honestly is the most challenging time of year for me, because Halloween is such a special thing for everybody, and I can finally do my witchy poo act. I'm like, what do I do in Halloween that's gonna be a bigger deal than I
That's
do?
where you take the makeup off.
Yeah, that's the real shocker. The beautiful thing about the world and about life is there's something twisted in every aspect of every day, every holiday, whatever. So it to me it's a challenge to dig into what's the dark side of Christmas. I mean, Christmas, really, wintertime, even audiences that are pretty traditional taste, You know, they absorb a lot of stuff from pop culture. They understand references.
Yeah.
You know, they let them appreciate something weird.
Tell me about Satanic Panic.
So Satanic Panic is probably the most epic project I've ever tried to take on.
Yeah.
So the inspiration, I mean, when I first started producing, I was doing a series of shows, you know, under the umbrella of Burlesque.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was that, you know, we're doing a show that perverts the traditions of expected burlesque. And from experimenting with the burlesque shows and themes, I kept coming back to, you know, I use a lot of heavy metal in my acts, so I kept coming back to this idea of Satanic Panic, which was a phenomenon when I was growing up. You know, this idea that listening to heavy metal music is going to make you murder your parents in their sleep, and all the hysteria around it. Trying to create a burlesque show that is very narrative has always been an interest to me. I love themes. Participating in themed shows always helps me come up with some of my best ideas.
Yeah.
Again, it's a challenge. How do you take this concept and then build an entire act around it? And what do you try to communicate about it? I love the idea too of getting burlesque shows out of some of the more traditional spaces. So the space that we used for Satanic Panic was a big opulent ballroom.
Yeah.
Because the idea, I wanted an immersive quality to it. So you felt like you were entering a different time, a different place, a different environment entirely. You know, I really wanted, I mean, it's so funny, like the first Satanic Panic, I started it with Anton LaVey and I ended it with Manson. So in my head, when I'm creating these acts, I'm always imagining them in a space like Satanic Panic. Yeah. Whereas, like, you know, nobody else can live in my mind. So so it's harder for me, you know, to pull the same kind of narrative out of other people. You know, it's a really fun thing to try to do. You learn more about your own work as a result. Producing's hard.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got Anton LaVey, you've got Charles Manson. These are contemporary figures.
Right.
Versus, like, you have a Vlad the Impaler act, which is historical. Mm-hmm. What kind of things are you thinking of when you are portraying an actual human?
Yeah, I love doing research.
Yeah,
I think that's always where the work starts. I started getting interested in not departing from the skeleton phase, but delving into those dark characters to see where that would take my work. How could I tell the story without focusing on the violence and the exploitational elements? You know, it's a very tough topic.
Yeah.
But we can present it in a way that people can digest it, think about it.
Charles Manson, Anton LaVey, Vlad the Impaler,
Rasputin.
Rasputin. All male-gendered characters. Mm-hmm. What elements do you pull, or inspiration do you pull from drag?
Now the transition to those types of characters, again, happened in a very unexpected, organic way. When I look back on it now, I realize almost all of my characters are very masculine in the presentation. I think it's because off the bat, as I was developing my character, I wasn't interested, or it just didn't feel like me to be an alluring kind of soft character. You know, again, not wanting to be digestible, just naturally lent itself to a more masculine character, or just the move. I think even just my body movements, you know, are just typically more. I don't know, it just came out of me.
Yeah. And
then I think as it's like I don't really have a really articulate way of explaining it, because it's just a quality of me that came out. And then I always look for funny plays on it, right? So with Vlad the Impaler, it's like, oh, making a duet with a pole dancer, you know?
Yeah.
There's always kind of a gag, because the humor for me is really important, because a lot of this stuff is pretty horrific. When it gets down to it, there are a few documentaries I was watching about Vlad the Impaler, and they really dug into the how impaling affects the body and what that was like. I had to stop the video. Hard to believe that I get overwhelmed by it, but the real horror of this kind of stuff, truly frightens me. So I think that's why I go this direction with the characters. It's a way for me to wrap my brain around the horrific stuff, to take it on, to play it out, to be the role, to come up with a storyline, put it together, and act it out on stage. It's a form of exercising demons.
Yeah.
In my own way. Everybody has ways that they release tensions or pressures or anxieties. I just dress them up.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. This was amazing. I love watching you perform. I love the concepts that you bring to stage, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg.
Oh, thank you.